We're going where you want to go so you can be where you need to be. It's Road Gang Radio with Lindsay, Lawler, and Jimmy Mack on RadioNemo.com.
Welcome back to Road Gang Radio. If you're here, you're family. If you found us, you'll never leave. We know that. We keep seeing it happen over and over. So happy to have you guys here. Happy to have you a part of the Road Game. Happy to be here and to talk with this next guest, Jim, who is very near and dear to my heart because of music, because of Texas, because of country, because of growing up and near New Braunfels, all the things, Jim. I'm excited to talk to this lovely, lovely lady.
Speaking of growing up near, Georgetown, Texas is where she hails from. Country singer, songwriter Elle Townley is a rising force in the country music scene today. She's known for powerhouse vocals, got a great stage presence, and the songwriting is incredibly heartfelt, blending classic country roots with a bold modern edge. What Elle is doing is speaking to both tradition and the next generation of country fans. For those of you who don't know, she burst onto the scene in 2020 with her debut single, Trouble with Trouble, which premiered on the Country Network and introduced audiences to an incredible talent that is both raw and has emotional depth. Since then, she's continued to build momentum with tracks like Fairweather Friend, One Too Many Heartaches, and Fighter, each making her growth as a vocalist and a storyteller. Her latest singles, Taking Off My Halo, which was released in June of 2025, and something we'll be talking about today, Perfect Christmas, released just this November, unveiled a bold and unapologetic new chapter, channeling honesty, empowerment, and a deeper glimpse into the artist that she's becoming. There's a lot more we could say, but it's going to be part of the story as well. Elle Townley, welcome to Road Gang Radio.
Thank you so much for having me. How are y'all doing this morning?
How y'all doing? She said y'all. She's my people. Glad to have you. So happy you're here. I'm a Texas girl myself, so hearing that y'all puts me right at home. So welcome. Glad you're here, friend.
I love it. Yes, thank you so much for having me.
Well, I got to ask you because I know you've recorded near New Braunfels. Do you know T-Bar M Camp?
That sounds real familiar.
That's where I grew up going to camp, and it's in New Braunfels. So we would, always tube the Guadalupe River, and that's where a lot of my inspiration to write Texas country music comes from. So I'm sure you have the same.
I love that.
So on that tip, do you tube the Guadalupe? Do you barbecue? Do you rope and you ride? Talk about how Texas, the state, has shaped you, Elle, as a musician and shaped your music.
Absolutely. Well, I actually have never gone tubing on the river. That's something I definitely want to do one day.
Oh, girl,
get on it. Get on it.
It's the best.
I know. I need to. Maybe next summer we'll make that a goal, or maybe the spring.
I'll meet you there.
Yes, I love it. Let's do it. Well, Texas has just been a great environment to grow in. Texas is just, the music scene is great, and everybody is so friendly here. And all of the other Texas country artists are just all about helping you. And if you need advice, you can always reach out to them. So it's been just such a great place to start in the music industry. And I've been to Nashville, I've traveled to other states to perform, but there's nothing quite like Texas. There's nothing like the bonds we make here with other musicians.
Well, let me just follow up then on that, because I am from Texas, but I live in Nashville. And I put out a Texas country record last year. And you're right, there is a big difference. Not that one's necessarily better. They're just very, very different. What informs you? I mean, I know you were young. You were still in your late teens. So God bless you for all the life that you have ahead of you. But what is is it in you to move here to Nashville? Because there's a very conscious decision and point as artists where we decide, okay, am I going to continue to stay and say in your case Texas, something that has really grown you and molded you, and then do you leave that and do you go pursue another place, or do you stay there true to your roots? Do you think about that often?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's something that's talked about a lot here in Texas. The controversy before about Texas versus Nashville, which one's better. My opinion is one isn't better. I think both markets are great. And for me, Texas is not the end goal. While I'm from Texas and I love Texas, and that's kind of where my fan base is, I'm looking at the bigger picture about how many people I want to get my music out to. And I think Nashville is a great way to do that. And, it works for a lot of people. So I'm just all about playing my music for people who are willing to listen. That's my message.
It's a good message.
Okay. At some point, people figure out pretty early that they love singing because their parents pretty much either go, "Oh my God, what a voice you have," or they say, "My God, what a passion you have." And at some point, you guys figured out that you could actually, carry a tune and do a whole lot more than that. I'm kind of curious as to what the younger Elle, kind of gravitates towards in her room with her friends, what kind of music you start off with, and when does the kind of hook into country really kind of get to you, or if that was something that was with you from the moment you remember in regards to singing.
Yeah, that's a great question. Well, younger me, I have been singing ever since I could talk. Like that, it was constant singing in my house. But I was really into the Disney princesses, and I started off singing songs from The Little Mermaid and Frozen and all that. I was convinced that I was a Disney princess. And
You are.
I was actually really thank you. I was really scared to sing in front of anybody that wasn't my family. And so my mom actually had to bribe me to do my first singing lesson because I was just so scared.
Mm-hmm.
And so the very first song I did in my vocal lesson was Let It Go from Frozen. And then I stepped on my first stage when I was 8, singing Part of Your World from The Little Mermaid. And, from there on, I was so scared, but as soon as I stepped on stage and I was singing the song, I immediately fell in love. I continued doing voice lessons for almost 10 years. And I didn't really get into country until a couple years later when my mom started playing, I believe it was Garth Brooks for me. And as soon as I heard the twang and the vibe, I was just in love with country music.
That'll do it. And those people that stand out for you forever and become a part of your DNA. You've gotten to do something though, really cool. And a lot of artists always talk about putting out writing a Christmas song in general is very hard, but then actually having the gusto and the means to do it, because you have to, what people don't understand, you don't decide in November you want to write a Christmas song or produce a Christmas song, which is most people when it pops in your head. But if you're thinking about it in November, you're already about a year too late. So this has to start way earlier in the year. You have to have a lot of gusto and a lot of leading up to it. So let's talk about this Christmas song that you just put out. I'm so glad you've done this earlier in your career as well. But this song, it's really about creating your own joy when things feel dark. And that is so many people. I get pretty dark and sad around Christmas. I think a lot of people do. There's a weird nostalgia that sets in, even if it's not yours. But so you talking about creating your own joy when things feel dark, that's honestly a really emotional and intelligent message for someone of your age. Where did that message come from, and how does it resonate with you personally?
Absolutely. Well, Perfect Christmas is important to me. It came from a place in my heart. I was missing my sisters. So I have 2 older sisters. One of them, they're both married, but one of them lives in England, and the other one lives in Houston. And so, we don't really get to see my oldest sister too much because she's so far overseas. And then my middle sister, we see her when we see her, And so I just thought about how much I miss them around the holidays, and we don't get to see them all year, and then we don't even get to see them for Christmas. And, I was just thinking about how other people feel, missing their family or their friends if they lost a parent. And so I was really trying to channel all of those feelings into a song about how we should just stay positive and, we can find happiness and joy in other things and, count our blessings, So I really wanted a song that not only said what I felt during the holidays, but that someone else could resonate with if they were feeling the same way.
Let me ask you a question, though. I have a most important question of all to ask you, and I think you will appreciate this. How good are you, by the way, at singing Happy Birthday?
I would say I'm pretty good. I definitely get requests to do that a lot at my shows.
Would you do it for me now and then end it by saying Happy Birthday to Lindsay, Happy Birthday to you?
Sounds good. Who are we singing Happy Birthday to?
The lady who's talking to you, by the way.
Oh.
No, you don't need to do that, girl.
Yeah, you do.
No, Jim, that's fine. No. That's not
Are you one of those who hates being Like, I'm one of those people, I do not like people singing happy birthday to me. Are you like that?
No, just no singer likes to sing happy birthday. It's the worst song as a singer to sing, so don't worry about that. Let's talk about you. Just kind of to follow up on that, the last song about the last question, talking about the story, because I think in general music, and you explained it well, why the Christmas song, but I'm or you know how that resonates with you. But I'm curious, just in general, if you feel like music lets you create your own reality at kind of way, like meaning if you feel something enough, that do you feel like you start to become it? Because I feel like songwriting is my way to be an actress, you know, and live out any rom-com I'd want, or like step into a story of whether it's mine or somebody else's. So do you think that by believing something enough, you can kind of become it through your music?
I definitely think so. I mean, most of the music industry is fake it till you make it. So
Yeah.
I think that could definitely apply to songwriting as well. You know, I think that's what's so great about songwriting. It can be, for me, it's therapy. I like to write about things I've gone through, how I'm feeling. But you can also just make these stories. You can write about book characters, movie characters. There's just endless possibilities with it. And so I definitely think if you believe in it enough, you can become it, you know? That's really how you stay positive, and how I stay positive when things are tough in the industry. You just, you know, you count your blessings, and, you know, just, I'm happy and I've had good progress. That's what you got to say to yourself. So I definitely believe that's possible in all aspects of life.
Let me ask you the manifestation question in a deeper way. So if, in fact, you know, you fake it till you make it and you do the things that you're supposed to do, when you're creating a song, when you're singing a song, do you become aware of yourself becoming? If you don't understand what I'm asking, I'm happy to rephrase. But when you are singing, do you feel yourself becoming the Elle that you want to be? Are you aware of it while it's happening?
Yeah, I definitely think so. I feel that way the most when I'm on stage performing, and when I'm in areas where I have a lot of people really come out to support my shows and I get to share my music. It's really great when you start seeing the transition from being an artist who plays 3-hour shows with mostly covers because you have to keep the audience interested, to shows where you're playing like listening rooms and people are asking for your music and listening to your message versus someone else's. So I definitely feel that way. But yes, especially songwriting, I definitely am becoming that person that I want to be in my music career.
Let me tell you. So we are as much older lady that was once in your suit. I was listening to your music and I was like, oh my God, I heard so much of me in you. And we are 30 years apart, by the way. But I remember I remember me at 17 back in Texas and recording music. And I honestly, it was really fun to go through and listen to your music for me, because I got to kind of walk back through memory lane for my own self and see how far I've come, the good, the bad, and everything in between. And I'm not, by the way, Elle, sitting today anywhere where I thought I'd be. And it looks completely different than what I thought. It's beautiful and it's rich and it's lovely, but it's not at all what I would have thought, you know? And so both with my voice and career and all kinds of things. So I'm curious, with all that being said, you know, do you feel any sort of pressure to be polished, or and I hope the answer is the second, is the fun part that you still get to continue to figure out your voice along the way?
I think it's definitely a combination of both. You know, I'm a very polished professional person, especially when I'm networking, meeting people. But when I'm just songwriting, or if I'm just hanging out with, you know, good friends in the industry, I'm definitely a lot more loose and more fun. And music is fun for me. So that's another place I let loose. But it's kind of hard sometimes to separate, you know, your personal life from music. All of my friends are in the music industry. I have so many other young artists in my friend group. And so it can be hard to kind of separate the two, but you
need to get some different friends
where I can let loose.
I've got to tell you, Elle, you got to get some different friends.
I want to ask you.
I
want to ask you both a question, by the way, because it actually relates. You say you have a lot of friends. There was a long period of time, and I think Lindsay might be the last generation for a while that did this. There was a lot of people that used to hang out when we were growing up. Generation X, you hung out with your friends a lot, like large groups of friends, and you had different pockets of friends. And for a long time, because of, the COVID also had an impact on this, but there were large groups of people who just kind of retreated into their own rooms or their own studios or their own garages and kind of avoided large groups of people. And I'm wondering if that is something that you've noticed, the idea that more groups of people are kind of hanging out together and creating together again. Because, Lindsay, I did notice the people that come after you don't do it as much. The whole we should write idea seemed to kind of drift away for a little bit. And I'm kind of curious if you, Elle, see more artists kind of working together and creating associations and networks again. And I can't speak about it from country and western, but I have seen it in regards to the Americana and the jazz and the kind of funk that's down here in New Orleans. Either one of you can answer that question first.
Yeah, I think definitely, at least here in Texas, it is very relationship based. I see so many people wanting to co-write. I mean, that's my favorite way to write. I kind of can get stuck or, kind of obsessed about something I'm writing if I'm doing it by myself. And so I always think it's great to have fresh eyes look at it. And I have so much fun co-writing with other people. So I definitely think we're getting back to a co-writing based industry, and, lots of duets are coming out, things like that. So I definitely think so.
Well, collaboration, I agree with you, Elle, that it's key, because you never know. I could be playing one thing in a song, and all of a sudden somebody walks in a room and says, one word, and it sparks my brain, and it, changes the trajectory of the song, and we go in a completely different way. And that's also the magic of, I talk about a lot, the magic of being in the studio and seeing the musicians put their spin on things and things. If you ever get a chance, anybody listening, to go see music be created in a studio, do it, because it is fascinating, especially here in Nashville, in the Texas scene, to watch what each player kind of puts on it and how it takes things. So I agree with you, Elle, and I look forward to maybe you and I could write together one day. I could write as your mother. We could write a mother-daughter duet, because, again, I'm 30 years older than you. But so with that being said, again, what does success look like to you? Like, you are obviously an old soul. You're very mature, you're very wise in your writing. You can tell that from the people that also know some of the people that work with you, that choose to work with you, that whole kind of thing. So for you, Elle, what does success look like for you 3 decades from now? You're sitting in my old butt shoes, and what do you want your life to feel like at that point? But obviously you want to be very successful and all those obvious things, but for you as a human, as a creator, as a musician, what do you see your ultimate future like? And what does that feel like? Yeah,
that's a great question. I've always said one of my main goals is to have a sold out stadium with everybody singing my song. But, I'm really just happy with people enjoying my music, listening to it. And I'm always going to work as hard as I can to get the absolute most success I can. But at the end of the day, as long as I'm staying true to myself and sharing my message and that people are enjoying that and my authentic self, I'm really content with that.
Okay. This is the thing, too, though. 17. So in terms of contentment, are you aware of the fact that life has this bad habit of showing up? And how do you feel? I don't even know how to ask this in a way that actually makes sense, but the idea that you have to know that life is going to have challenges, even if things go terrifically for you. There are going to be moments in life that really test you, that really kind of,
Oh, yeah.
and that are going to change and shape your songwriting. But being that you're in groups of people that are already starting to do this, how do you kind of ask questions? How do you kind of create profundity? Not that you don't have depth to you, but how do you kind of prepare yourself knowing that it's not altogether there yet in regards to what life has to offer? How do you prepare yourself to understand that, what you're writing now isn't going to be the same 5 years from now?
Yes, I mean, I'm definitely already there. I've been writing since I was 9 years old, so my subject matter has definitely changed as I've gotten older and gone through other experiences, and I've definitely already been through a lot of lows in this career. So for me, I mean, I don't think anybody can be fully prepared to go through, certain situations. But for me, I just really lean on the people around me who support me, like my family, if we're going through something tough, and music too. I'll write about the tough times, and I'm happy to write about anything. And like I said, I like to write about what I go through, what I feel. And so kind of using music as a crutch is really just a great way. It's kind of ironic that you can use music to get through tough times in music, but a lot of musicians do it. And I think there's a lot of great songs about that. So it's really, that's a great question. I'm not really sure how to best be prepared for those changes, but I think really relying on the people who care about you and the things that you love can get you through.
It's a pretty decent answer for a pretty lousy question, to be honest with you, because I was trying to kind of shape it in a way to kind of be like, how does one prepare knowing that one hasn't had the experiences yet that might take their writing in a different direction? There's no way to answer that. I'm basically asking you to look into the oracle,
Well, how about this? If you don't mind me putting you on the spot to follow up, I guess.
Of course.
Can you talk about something you, and to what extent in detail, that's up to you. I don't mean to pry, but so we have a lot of listeners that are truck drivers, Al, by the way, too, and they have gone, I mean, humans in general, we all go through stuff. So what is something in your life that's happened, something that you've gone through that you were able to work out in writing? Because I host a show over here as well called We Should Write, about the healing power of writing, and people are starting to work more and more of their stuff out through writing. And I think we write it down, we work it out, we see it on paper, we release it from ourselves, and we can kind of work through it before we go unleash on somebody else, whether that be, a family member or a friend or somebody who didn't deserve our wrath. So what is something that you've gone through that you used writing in order to really help get through it?
Two situations kind of come to mind for me. The first one, I left in-person school my sophomore year, the second semester of my sophomore year, because I was just so busy with shows. And while I kept my grades up, the school I was at wanted their funding. And even though I had good grades and I was still showing up when I could, they were getting me on attendance, so I had to leave. So I had to move online for school. And doing that, you lose a lot of friends. I didn't hear from anybody I was really close with, and so my whole life felt like it kind of flipped upside down. And I felt really sad and really lonely during that time, and I went through kind of this 1.5 year period feeling that way, and that was kind of all I knew to write about, was how sad and lonely I felt missing my people, until I really started finding the community here in Texas that I have now. In the music industry again. So I definitely wrote about that a lot. And I hate to be kind of Taylor Swifty here, but I definitely write about people who break my heart.
Like who? What's his name?
It's just between the three of us. You're fine.
We won't tell anybody. What's his or her name? Just kidding. Go on.
Well, there's two people. One was a friend. One was like what they call a situationship. It wasn't quite a relationship.
Is that what they call it? Is that the term right now?
It's like, it's kind of in between a relationship and like the talking stage.
Okay, a situationship. Thank you for keeping us cool. Go on.
You're welcome. Yeah, so I definitely wrote about that. One guy who just didn't treat me so well and kind of played with me. So I definitely wrote a lot about that. And another person I really wrote about was someone I actually was really close with this year. She was my best friend this year. I definitely didn't foresee the things that happening. And I wrote this song. It's called God Made You. I'll be releasing it next spring in 2026. And I wrote it about her and her friendship. And I felt like she was just this blessing and the person that I needed after all of this dark, lonely time. And then things happened, and our friendship ended. And so I wrote this great song about how beautiful the friendship was, and then I needed to write about the tragic ending. So again, I've just used music as a crutch for all of these different things in my life. But when I was in middle school writing, I was, talking about the girl drama, like in Trouble with Trouble, and how mean the girls are. And then I was talking about, like, in Fighter, how you have to be strong for your friends and defend them and all that. So, again, I just think songwriting is such a great outlet for people to use as therapy.
Wow. Wow. I'm laughing about that because to hear that kind of land like that. The other thing is, too, I'm kind of curious, and this goes to both of you guys again. I wonder if there's some way, because the intensity of emotions as a teenager is kind of remarkable. So I'm kind of curious if there's a way that we can capture that. Does anybody, maybe Bob Seger does it pretty darn good, but is there a way we can go back and kind of capture that and bottle it and then use it later on? Because the intensity of emotions when you're about 13 years old, which you've just kind of left just a few years ago, is so overwhelming because we don't ever feel like that again. Our chemicals settle, our life kind of comes into focus at that point. And I'm just wondering if the ability to start writing songs that early might actually make for some really interesting stuff on the other side of the filter. I'm just kind of talking out loud here and spitballing, but I'm kind of curious, are there songs, you said you've been writing since 9, that you've returned to? Because the Beatles did that for their last album. They actually went back and looked at songs when they were 15 years old and repackaged them and put them on Let It Be. Do you have songs from like 9, 10, and 11?
I don't know if I have any from 9 or 10. I definitely have some from a few years ago, and some that definitely still hold up. I definitely need to revisit some of them because I think, there's always some good bones and everything. But I definitely have some stuff from a few years ago that would probably still hold up now.
Well, you know what I wish? I'm listening to you. I wish I had. I mean, you sound most mature. You sound way more mature than most 17-year-olds. But I wish I had the emotional intelligence that I have right now today, but the experiences of my 17-year-old self, like those, new relationships and the friend, the friend. Luckily, my friend, we've come so far that we're friends. We've gone through it all, and are hopefully over a lot of the drama. But you still, as this very, very emotionally mature 17-year-old, have to deal with the people, which are most people, that are not that way. And I just love that you have a song that you're seeing even somebody who treated you bad, that was also a gift from God in a way. People come into our lives for a reason, and I just appreciate that about you. Okay, we've just got about a minute here left. So again, tell people where they can get your music. Perfect Christmas is out now. It is perfect for your Christmas. What is exciting for you coming up for the rest of this year, and how you're celebrating Christmas?
Yes. Well, you can find all of my music on all streaming platforms under Elle Townley. My social media is Elle Townley Music on everything. I have a couple exciting things coming up this year. Tomorrow, I'm actually the headliner for my hometown Christmas festival, so that'll be a great time.
Nice.
Yeah, and then I have just a few more shows for the year, kind of taking it easy, but still celebrating the holidays with everybody who follows me. I'll be playing with my band here in Georgetown on the 19th, and we're just going to kind of be in a couple other spots in Texas. One's going to be in Johnson City, and there's a couple others. But mainly, I like to spend my Christmas with my family and just kind of take that week for us and to kind of reconnect with everybody that we haven't seen in a while. And we eat a good turkey dinner.
There you go. There you go. Elle Townley, everybody. Check her out. All this music. I can't wait. There's great stuff coming from you more and more in the future. I know. We appreciate you taking the time to be with us today. Elle Townley, ELLETOWNLEY, ElleTownley.com. Check her out. There's people on the chat already wanting to get your information. So thanks for making the time. Best to you. And I hope that, Elle, you have a perfect Christmas.